Aloha class. In this first update of the semester, I want to just recap what the definition and contributions of performance management system are, but also discuss the purpose of a performance management system. So let's go ahead and get started. As we read this week, the definition of a performance management system is a continuous process of identifying, measuring, and developing the performance of not only individuals, but also of teams. It's aligning performance with that strategic goal of an organization. Now, as a reminder, performance management systems are not the same as a performance appraisal system. Performance management is the big picture, and a performance appraisal is within the performance management. So performance management is much more strategic. It's driven by the line manager, and it's ongoing feedback. So employees can improve their performance, where performance appraisal is typically the administrative piece that we've been talking a lot about in our discussion board this week. It's typically driven by HR. It also assesses the employee's strengths and weaknesses, usually done once a year. Some companies do it every 6 months, maybe quarterly, but most companies do it annually. And it typically lacks that ongoing feedback that we like to give employees. Now, performance management, that big umbrella, contributes to three main groups. Pretty much it contributes to everybody: employees, managers, as well as the organization as a whole. For employees, it helps clarify definitions of job as well as success criteria. It increases motivation to perform, therefore increasing self-esteem, and it also enhances self-insight and self-development. For managers, it helps communicate the supervisor's view of performance more clearly. Managers can gain insight about their subordinates. It's better and more timely differentiation between the good and the poor performers, and it also helps employees become more competent. Now, from a big picture organizational perspective, it helps clarify those organizational goals. It facilitates organizational change. It also provides fairer, more appropriate administrative action, and it better protects us from lawsuits for that reason. Now, there are 6 main purposes of a performance management system, and we'll touch on each of them. But we have strategic, administrative, informational, developmental, organizational maintenance, and last but not least is documentation. The strategic purpose helps us link those individual goals with the organizational goals. It also helps to communicate those most crucial business strategic initiatives that's important for our employees to understand. Most of us are familiar with the administrative purpose behind it. That's what I'm reading in the discussion board, is that's what most of our companies tend to do, is that administrative piece. But from a purposeful standpoint, it helps with salary adjustments, it helps with promotions, it also helps with any retention or termination decisions, as well as recognition of the individual performance and any terminations or layoffs that we need to do as well. The third purpose is informational. From an informational perspective, it helps to communicate to employees what the expectations are. We can't expect them to do something if we don't tell them what is expected. So expectations is a big piece. What is important is also a big piece from an informational, purposeful standpoint. It also tells them how they are doing in comparison to those expectations, as well as how to improve if there's any areas they need to improve on. Kind of going hand in hand with the informational is developmental purpose. Now, it does help us provide performance feedback and coaching to employees. It helps us identify their individual strengths and their weaknesses and what the areas they can improve on. It helps identify the causes of any performance problems, and it can tailor development of individuals to a career path as well. So they're hand in hand with informational. Developmental goals is very important from a purposeful performance management systems perspective. Our fifth reason is organizational maintenance. So it does help us plan the workforce effectively. So if we know how employees are doing, we know how we need to staff that or how we need to schedule that. It helps us assess any future training needs. If there's a gap in any particular area, it'll help us in learning what we need to train on. It helps us evaluate performance at an organizational level as well. It helps us evaluate the effectiveness of any HR interventions that we've attempted to do as well. And last but not least is that dreaded documentation purpose. It does help us validate instruments. It helps us document any administrative decisions that we've made, and it helps us meet any legal requirements. So through this, we can document our employees' performance, and that can stand up in court, which in turn protects us from a legal perspective. So just kind of wrap it up, what we talked about in this video update is we touched on the definition of performance management, the difference between performance management and performance appraisal systems. We talked about the different contributions to employees, to managers, as well as to the organization as a whole from a performance management perspective. And last but not least, we covered the purpose of these systems: the strategic, administrative, informational, developmental, organizational maintenance, and the documentation purposes of the system. Thank you and have a great day.